Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the movie Hard Eyes. Fun fact, the movie showing at the drive-in is His Girl Friday from 1940, starring Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell. This film came out in 2025 and stars Olivia Holt, Mason Gooding, and Gigi Zumbado, and was directed by Josh Ruben. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Hard Eyes takes place on Valentine's Day, which should be a day for love, but it has become a day of fear as a killer strikes every Valentine's Day in different cities. And this year, they have decided to set their eyes on Seattle. Allie is jaded due to a recent breakup, but meets a guy she bonds with named Jay. They go on a date and she kisses him to make her ex-boyfriend jealous. This kiss attracts Hard Eyes, who is watching from a distance, which makes them the killer's next target. They have to figure out how to survive, and while they do so, they kind of fall in love. Hard Eyes is a slasher horror comedy. It has similar vibes to My Bloody Valentine, Scream, or You're Next. Hard Eyes caught my eye because it looked like such a gory, fun time. Slasher movies fall in the horror genre, but for me, they aren't that scary because usually it's a human under the mask, and I feel like I could survive in that situation. But sometimes they make it more fun by mixing in comedic elements, and there are some where there is someone who is a damsel in distress, and that usually irritates me. This movie did a great job doing something that I don't know if I've seen before in a horror movie, which is making this slasher movie have this blossoming romance in it. So it's mostly horror, but there is a romantic comedy element that is mixed in as well. Olivia Holt was great as Allie, this girl who is just so over love and wants nothing to do with it, which is, of course, not an option on Valentine's Day. I love how her hate of love seeps into her work. When she is tasked with making a commercial with couples in love, it makes one of the most depressing anti-love commercials. She did a good job of showing how freaked out you would be in this situation, but then realizing that running is getting exhausting, so it's time to finish it by fighting back. Olivia and Mason had good chemistry when it came to the comedic parts, but also the romance in the midst of danger. I love how when they are running from the killer the first time, he thinks that she left him, which she did, but it was for a good reason so that he wouldn't get killed, because she was luring the killer away. I'm glad that after all the mentions of her metal straw, she was able to use that straw to her advantage in the final scene. Also, I just have to note that her boss was hilarious in every scene that she was in. She did a great job delivering this snarky, sarcastic commentary when we would see her in the workplace. Mason Gooding was a good person to cast as Jay, who you could believe is a love interest, but also believe he could fight back. He is in the more recent Scream movies, so it's not surprising to see him in a role where he is running from a killer, but, it's still entertaining. I love how Allie and him have a meet cute, and she embarrasses herself, and later he comes in to save her company from the ad that Allie created. Even though Allie wasn't looking for love, he showed her not to give up on it completely, and they worked well together. When I saw Detective Hobbs and Shaw, I, one, thought that their names, of course, was reminiscent of the two characters that were in Fast and Furious, and then I was like, but they also kind of look familiar. Shaw is Jordana Brewster, and I was thinking and realized that she was in the Fast and the Furious films, and that's why she looked familiar. Then there's Hobbs, played by Devon Sawa, and I'm kind of shocked that I didn't recognize him because there are some horror films that influence my current love for horror, and I will say that Final Destination is for sure one of them. And not to mention that he played Stan in the Eminem music video of the same name, which could be a name of a person, but in this instance, it's kind of like a mixture of stalker and fan and gave birth to a new slang term. I honestly thought they were the killers because they would have a reason to always be around, but also it seemed too simple. I was right about one of them because one of them was the killer, and then the other one was not and ended up dead. This movie was filled with some great comedic moments, but they didn't overdo it. I was glad they found a good balance between the slasher story, the love story, and the comedy. In the first scene where they're attacked, I was so distracted with her helping him that it made me forget that the killer was just watching them not too long before. It made me jump when they were in her closet. The balance of these aspects had me interested in the romance, who the killer was, and what Allie's best friend would say that would have me laughing. Multiple Killers was a cool little twist at the end, but the only thing is that the only killer that we actually cared about was the cop, and the other two was like, I don't particularly care about them. I think with slashers like this, you are guessing who it could be throughout the film, and it's kind of fun to be thinking about it, but it's a letdown when it's just some random person you never heard of or a person you meet once in the film. I think giving the killers more time to interact with the characters would have been more interesting so we could actually feel a connection to the killers and care a bit more as to why they decided to do this. I think my favorite part of this movie was having this serial killer centered around this holiday and how one fake kiss puts two people in the crosshairs of this killer. The movie takes this holiday that is known for love and happiness and makes people see it as a scary time to be in a relationship. It is interesting to see. I think the premise itself makes you think the killer may be a single person who hates love and throws you off the scent of the actual killer and how it's actually a group of people. Hard Eyes is a fun slasher that will have you laughing and jumping. The cast was great, and while it stumbles with the killer reveal, it is still an interesting take on a holiday themed slasher. This is a great movie for you, I guess, if you are single and are sad about being alone, or if you're a couple and you are trying to find a balance between a love story and a horror movie. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.